Hi, everybody. So today I want to talk to you about how to read a book. So this is how I read a book. So I typically don't read fiction. I'm working on it, but I typically don't read fiction. I typically pick a nonfiction book based on something that I'm interested in, maybe something I'm doing research on, something that I want to learn more about. So I always have, in my mind, agenda, something that I want to learn more about. So I read only nonfiction, and it's never pleasure reading. It's always something that I want to learn about, and it's always something that I'm going to share with others, some area that I want to improve, that I also want to be able to share with my clients. So I am a very serious reader. I consider myself to be a slow reader. I may not be, but anyway, when I read a book, I always have two lines, what I call jumbo index cards, always. And every book has at least two. And so they're lined because I use it to take notes. I look for all kind of things. I look for questions that I want to keep, notes, something that I want to remember, things that I want to add to a speech, something that I want to help myself with, all kind of stuff. But I use two index cards. Some books you'll open and there might be four index cards because two of them are filled and I added two more. But I always have two index cards to take notes on. I also have these flags, and so they come in all different colors. I've bought over 3,000 in a pack, but I use flags. I use flags for things at the top of the page. I use flags for the whole page was important. The whole page I want to come back to and read or take notes on, or that I'm going to use in a course or a book or something. When I use a tab on the side of the page, there was something on that page that's tab that was important that I want to come back to. And so I initially started trying to have certain colors to mean certain subjects. I haven't done well with it, but if you can do that, I think that's helpful and probably will be more effective as well. So if you have, like, for example, if you use purple for leadership, that's my topic. I'm just giving you my topic. These are just examples. Yellow might be team building, green might be emotional intelligence, blue might be, conflict resolution. So you have these different colors. So when you tab your books, when you come back to it, or if you're looking for something, the colors mean a particular topic. Like I said, I haven't done well with that, but I think that's very effective. I always read with a pen, and so I underline. Sometimes I highlight, but I typically underline things that I want they're super important. I put a circle around, or I put a box around a paragraph that I think is important. I use question marks for something that is probably important, but I don't quite understand what it is. I use the actual word use, because I know I'm going to use it in a course or a keynote. I use, sometimes I'll put read because I want to come back and read it again. It was important. I want to come back and read it. I'll use write. I'll put WRITE because it's something that I want to write on a note card that I want to memorize for myself, or it's important to me. So it just depends on you, what it is that you're looking for when you're reading. And so for me, I am a speaker, I'm an author, and I'm a coaching consultant. So it's important for me to be the best that I am in my field, and that's the reason why I read as much as I read. That's why I write as much as I write. So I have to be the best. So I have to read a lot of books. And so, you might read a book and you might just have two things that you get out of it. So it just kind of depends on your preference. But I like to always use tabs so that I know what's important. I come back to it, especially if it's a tab at the top of the page. And so you'll just kind of develop your own routine. But for me, I always read with a pen or a highlighter. I always have tabs so that I can mark my book. I kind of use these index cards not just as something to take notes on, but they're like bookmarks to me as well. So I stopped using bookmarks and I just use this because I know that typically 98% of the books that I read, I'm going to get at least something out of it that I'm going to put on a note card, typically. And so I use the index cards as bookmarks as well. But there's just different things that you can do. I have started doing, at the front of the book, I might have an index that tells me, leadership, a quote on leadership is on page 144. Or, there's different things that you can do at the front of the book to make your own index. So you can go back, you can go back to it. You can find it quickly. But for me, I want to make it as easy as possible. And I want to be able to come back to things that I want to come back to that's going to help me later, really quickly. So you can kind of look at this and see develop your own system. But there's just different things that you'll kind of notice for yourself that you'll use or that'll be important to you, that might be a word or something that will help you come back to something. You'll know what you're going to use it for. And so even for me, I might put, if it's something I'm going to use for emotional intelligence, I might write it out, emotional intelligence, at the bottom of the page and then tab it. So when I come back, I'll know what it was for. There's different little tips and tricks, but, just kind of develop your own. But this is kind of to help you get started or help you to think about how you can read a book differently.